Like, if I go and pee in the middle of the night, I have to have a light on because I'm a little bit scared that the Wicked Witch of the West will be in there, which is the last place she would be because it's an open shower and she would immediately get wet and die. So I'm
I love
probably
all that you're
safe.
thinking, yeah.
That's my logical thought process. Hello and welcome to Incomplete Geeks.
Why are you saying it like that?
I don't know. I've already forgotten it. It needs to go on autopilot. Hello and welcome to Incomplete Geeks, a gay geek podcast where we talk about all sorts of geeky things. Sometimes we know a lot about what we're talking about, but very, very frequently, our knowledge on these topics is
incomplete.
That's John. I'm Nick. Which, please, broomsticks ain't the only thing coming out the closet tonight, because we are going to talk about the gays and their fascination of witches.
Lovely, lovely. That was much better than what mine was going to be.
What was yours going to be?
I was gonna make it up on the fly and say something like, no, I didn't really have anything.
No, it would have rambled. You may have come away with something. So...
Frequent listeners will know how I like it.
So in honor of the release of the film of the year...
Yes, it is.
We decided that this is as good a time as any to talk about homosexual man's enduring relationship with...
/ obsession.
Yeah. And I feel like it's universal, but then I don't know any gays. So we're just going to speak as if it is. We'll speak for all the gays, frankly.
I think that we'll speak for all of them and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
No one will complain
I'm sure.
about it.
I'm sure there's no... Yeah, I'm sure we won't get anything wrong. I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine.
I think it is correct because, well, in case anybody missed it, like, Wicked was the highest grossing opening weekend for a film adaptation of a musical ever.
I mean, which is a pretty low bar. I think the one before that was Grease. So
no, the one before that was Les Miserables. It was a quiz question for me. So
Les
Miserables did it in like
if anyone would know,
2012.
you would. That's true.
Yeah. Random trivia.
Les Miserables. Full circle.
Yeah.
Did you know? You probably did, and I'm sure theatre gays are like, duh. That the person who originated the role of Fontaine in Les Miserables when it first ever came out.
Yeah, like 1960 something, 63.
I think it was in the 70s or 80s. Was one Miss Patti LuPone.
Was it?
Was the first person to ever sing "I Dream to Dream."
Well, I would never have guessed that.
I've been listening to her autobiography since Agatha, and I'm like, shit, no way. She said she was very honored to be the American in a British cast doing it, and that was her. So she was the first one to do.
Oh, I see.
That.
That's cute.
Isn't that cute?
Okay, bit of a tenuous link, but it is definitely a link. She was the
because
she the only American in the... You mean like the British production of it?
Yes, well, it's an Andrew Lloyd Webber production, so it was British. An adaptation of it. Anyway, we're not here to talk about musicals. Thank fucking God.
No.
We are here to talk about witches, of which there is a witch or two in the musical. Would you call Glinda a witch?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, because she calls herself, so she self-identifies as a witch, which of course is what's most important.
Is it a thing that you need to have that you know?
Well, what's the difference between, like, in your little D&D world? Is there a difference between witches, wizards, sorcerers, all these kinds of magic users? There's tons of different ways for it. And I'm sure in, like, most pop media, it's just a woman using magic is a witch, right? But is it different in different...
Yes. So there's no gender specifics in the RPGs. In D&D, there's technically no witch class. There is wizards and sorcerers, and I think the other magic users as well. And the difference is how you get the magic. So, speaking very generally, wizards get their magic through study.
Yeah,
and it's quite often like what they call arcane magic. So you learn like fires spells and frost spells, electricity, etc. Whereas there are clerics who have like this divine casters where they get their power from like a divine entity. Sorcerers tend to the difference is that their natural ability, their ability to create spells is innate, like it's from their bloodline, or it's from like some sort of sort of inner knowledge or inner source. There's other classes as well. In Pathfinder, which I think is the second biggest sort of RPG, they do have a witch class, and I think I haven't played as one. I don't haven't actually been in a group that has a witch. But they tend to get their power from just the earth. If that makes sense. Like if you think of like in Agatha All Along, you had the Green Witch, and there was Rio, who was the Green Witch, and all of her powers just came from like a natural cycle of life and death and growth, etc. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's there's definitely no class equivalent in D&D, but that's the difference. And there's definitely no sort of like there's definitely male witches as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
for this list, we're going to be talking about basically women magic users.
Magic
and therefore
users
shall be classed as witches.
And they do tend to be female as well.
Well, like you said, I'm sure there's things where they've talked about male witches, but they're very like added on. Like the new season of Sabrina will have some male witches and that sort of stuff. Whereas classically, it's a very different like looking back in stuff. Like a witch is seen as this cauldron haggardy, earthy,
crow,
weird
kind of
outcast of a woman dancing with the devil. A wizard is a wise man. That sort of stuff is often it's different.
I think that's definitely where the tropes come from. Like where those words come from. And in a lot of media, you have just the only difference between a witch and a wizard is just male, female.
Yeah.
Or a witch and a warlock even. And when you get into things where in like D&D, where there is a warlock that gets power from even somewhere else, that's the distinction. So then the gender roles fall apart. But yeah, totally. It's either like witches and wizards or witches and warlocks, and never the twain shall meet. Even things like Harry Potter, there's like the wizards are all the men or the male people, and the witches are the females.
They're actually called witches in it. So Hermione
it's Hogwarts is the witchcraft and wizardry school.
Oh, okay.
And there's one interesting point, like towards. Have you read the books at all?
Are you fucking kidding me?
I don't think you have.
Dumpster fire of transphobic bullshit. No, I have not read those books.
There's a point in like where they're sort of running around Tottenham Court Road, and Hermione's sort of panicking about what to do, and then Hrona's like, "Are you a witch or aren't you?" She's like, "Oh yeah, of course." Magic's her way out of the situation.
So you haven't seen Wicked?
I have.
Or have you? You have?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Okay, good. Me too. And that's it. That's all we need to say about it. Really.
I mean, it's definitely like a musical, and it's definitely like it's got all the sort of hallmarks of being a musical, and it was enjoyable. And I will leave it at that.
Yes, I liked it. Cynthia is a star.
Absolutely.
Give her money and celebrity if she wants it.
Oh, and all the sort of, I mean, all the acting in it's amazing. And
apart from Jonathan, who I couldn't stand, but people like him, so I will.
I didn't know him beforehand, so I thought he was fine.
People seem to enjoy this 37-year-old teenager
and his tight butt.
Yes, well, he's like 4'10" or whatever, so he's probably got a very.
Is he? That's a shame.
No, I'm sure he's probably 5'9", and I'm slagging that off like it's a dwarf, but that's the same.
Have you seen some of the TikToks of him and Jeff Goldblum on the marketing trail?
I've seen all the TikToks because it knows I watched it, and therefore all it does is show me Wicked TikToks. I think I'm done with Wicked TikToks for now. Love you, Cynthia, but I think I'm done. I think I'm done with on every fucking clip, which is great. So let's talk about witches rather than musicals, because I feel like that's not our focus point. Yeah, do you have particular, like, what's the first kind of memory? Because witches are like childhood stories. Do you have any foundational memories of the first kind of witch that you saw on TV or in a film or anything? And was it just the Wicked Witch of the West, like the rest of us?
Interesting point. I mean, probably it was, because I don't like just thinking, casting my memory back to like being a young person. I think it might have just been, the stereotype, the trope of like the Wicked Witch, of the West, and then the Good Witch as well, which which I think is going to be true for a lot of people because that's just a
I
classic thing you show kids nowadays, isn't it?
I think so. I wonder if even the look of a witch was defined as it is before that film, because I think in the original, because that's itself a remake, isn't it? And in the original book, Frank L. Baum's book, she's not described as green. That is just done for
Really?
because it was a Technicolor film, wasn't it?
Oh,
So
right, yeah. So they
they made
wanted
it
to
more
sort of show
distinct.
off.
So yes, green, yes, pointy nose, that sort of stuff, blah blah blah. The woman who played it was so incredibly terrifying, and all she was just a
Yeah.
scary school teacher.
She was just really,
But
really good. Is it Margaret Hamilton?
so like it still scares me. Like if I go and pee in the middle of the night, I have to have a light on because I'm a little bit scared that the Wicked Witch of the West will be in there, which is the
That's
last place
fantastic.
she would be because it's an open shower and she would immediately get wet and die. So I'm
I love how
probably
that's your
safe.
thinking, yeah.
That's my logical thought process. And how she can,
But when you're a kid, you don't, yeah.
and everyone thinks it's such a fun thing to watch as a kid. Like, let's watch this, and it's just she was the stuff of nightmares for generations and
Yeah.
generations of people. But now, I would quite like to watch it again and see if, like with most things, when you watch like childhood stuff, you prefer the villains anyway. The villains are always way more fun.
They are.
And I haven't watched that film in fucking 30, 40 years, so.
I mean, like, I remember talking about it in college and in university, and I was like, I actually was at a loss to like what happens in the film because it had been so long. I mean, I'm sure I've seen it at some point, but someone had to sort of. I was doing an improv thing. Someone said Dorothy Gale, and I just went off and did something ridiculous. People like, that's not Dorothy Gale. I'm like, well, okay, but what? What
She
is it?
actually
Like,
do?
what does she actually do? Like, how is she? It wasn't as. I think I think I went to college before Wicked came out. Like, I don't ish. I think it was probably around the same time. Anyway,
2006, 7, I think, first came out. Something
about the
around
same
then.
time then. Like I just didn't have any sort of
No.
base to sort of say it wasn't as ubiquitous in my memory, so to speak. But like definitely with witches, it was just the evil trope, and then the sort of I'm melting kind of thing. That's always going to be uh things
Engraved
that
in your
stay.
memory.
Yeah. What about you?
I mean, yeah, she was the first one, but there are so many Disney ones were kind of important ones as well. Like, would we call Maleficent a witch? We probably would.
Yeah, I mean, depending on whatever word they used, like was she an evil sorceress? There was just the
Probably.
evil queen became its own trope kind of thing.
Yeah, and then the evil queen in Snow White and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they
You
were
have
always I like them as well. I like the fairies. I'm trying to think of the first time I loved witches, rather like the going from being scared of the witches. Like Roald Dahl's book terrified
I
me.
was just going to ask you that. Yeah, did you grow up with that? I never
Yeah,
did. I
well,
never had.
I read the book and I had nightmares. I think I remember seeing the film with Angelica Houston, and that being
Yeah,
fucking terrifying,
yeah. When
but
she's like takes off the
brilliant.
mat. Is it
Yeah,
takes
rips
the
off her
mask?
face. If you
Yeah,
rewatch it, I watched it a few years ago. It was on TV when they're in the room and it's all the witches and they take their wigs off and it's all bald people.
yeah.
They do pans of the crowd and it's just so many just
It's just men.
white
It's just
men. It's
white
just
men,
just men
bald
in
men
dresses because
dressed.
if it's not even subtle. It's just like Dave and Sean just like sat there in a dress because there's bald,
That's so
which is
funny.
hilarious. But at that stage, it was still terrifying. I'm trying to think of when it flipped over to find it. I think the earliest one that I loved them but was a bit scared of them was Hocus Pocus.
Okay.
Did you watch Hocus
Uh,
Pocus?
yes. When did that come out?
1993. She says it in the film.
Does she actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. Like, I must have seen it, but living a secluded life on the farm, I don't know if I got out that much. I must have seen it at some point. Like, my grandparents have so many films, and it's I must have seen it. I definitely like with, yeah. I watched it, and again, it was just sort of, for me, it was just like a fun story about these three crazy sisters.
I think they are a really good kind of encapsulation of why gay men gravitate towards witches, because of the campness, the diva energy, and bet fucking Midler, for God's sake, diva
Yeah.
energy that witches inherently have. Maleficent, the evil queen, that sort of stuff. Very much big bitch witch energy.
Yeah.
Is what gay guys fucking love. And I love those three. They had such great comic timing. The reboot did not work. Sorry, sequels do not work.
I don't think it was as good. I think it was a good. It was fun, but it wasn't. It was more based on nostalgia than actually telling a good story, which
it didn't.
Unfortunately, a lot of these reboots.
That was just a sequel. But yes, so I think Hocus Pocus was. That's the first one I can think of. If we go through any more and we come up with some, I've tried to jot down some notes of why I think, or why other people also think, because I stole a lot of these. Diva camp energy is the first sort of thing.
Yeah.
Strong, powerful women, which we
Yes.
love in all sorts of media. Relating to them because they're often persecuted and outcasts, which
Yes.
Sanderson sisters often do really well, that sort of stuff, that very witchy Salem, New England kind of energy stuff, which we relate, not the New England stuff, but the outcasts.
Yeah.
Always like relate to that. And the fact that they're also, as we get older, they, especially those kind of witches, Agatha and those lot ones, are rebelling against patriarchy and Puritan, that sort of Christian bullshit, which is why they were all persecuted.
Yeah.
Which we do as well.
Which we do. Like, you've literally said, like, I have the notes that I've made is basically like the same thing. It's like, rebelling against people who are persecuting them, being sassy in a way, and also stereotypical female.
Sassy, badass, powerful. But I also, as a comic book person, I love powers. Like, I want characters with powers. And that's why I love it.
About that as well, it's like whenever you encounter witches in like fairy tales or stories like this, they're the only ones with magical powers.
Yeah.
And that's often why they're persecuted, is why they're sort of distrusted for whatever reason, It's just is the witch in Hansel and Gretel like a witch as well? I don't know what you call that.
Of course. Yeah.
But like, they seem evil, but they're just they're just getting what they want.
She ate children, so she's kind of not.
Was that her thing? But she did make a house out of gingerbread or whatever it was
to lure the children so that she could eat them. But she's got to get her nutrition somehow. But
maybe maybe that's what her that's
her dietary
her generation, how she evolved.
Gluten intolerant, only children,
only human children,
meals, please.
Who are we to judge? But yeah, that's basically it. Like, not she, but like witches in general, they seem to have found a supernatural power to get back at people who have wronged them, which I think gay men tend to be. They kind of.
We wish we could.
We wish we could
as a teenager, don't you fucking wish? Oh my god, there was a film after Teen Wolf. There was a film Teen Witch. Again, do you remember getting that on basic cable?
I don't think I seen that.
How did I watch more American TV than you when I grew up on a desert island in the Middle East and you grew up in America?
I was on a farm. I was busy.
I was on a
raising
desert
animals.
island. On a desert island watching Muslim TV, and somehow I still watch Teen Witch.
Yeah.
Which it's going to happen so often.
Yeah.
Obviously garbage, and there's some clips of it that have been going around on TikTok, and it's fucking hilarious how awful it is. But that was basically a teenage girl gets powers and becomes the most popular girl, and all that kind of stuff. And a big part of the witch and the powers, the same as with mutants and X-Men, is like, you really wish you could go from being the underdog, especially in high school as a gay closeted kid, being the underdog, to getting a fucking leg up, and that sort of the revenge element. Like, I would not be a good witch. Like, there is no way I would use my.
Would you be? I think we've had this discussion before, but would you use it evilly, or would you use it just to be self-interested?
Well, it depends on when you get me. Like, teenage Nick.
Another day.
So like, if they're tempting me with powers as a teenager, there would have definitely been some revenge. I'm not letting them go that
Yeah,
easy. It's like, you made my life
sure.
hell.
Yeah.
Badoosh. You're gonna learn um some of that. Now I don't have the energy. Like, there's no one I'm mad enough that I would want to concoct a spell and a potion. Well, no one that I know. There's plenty of. Oh wait, no, I take that back. I'd be evil. I
You
would
would
take
be.
out.
You'd be
I
evil.
take out all the politicians and all those kind of evil, shitty people.
Oh gosh, you have your eyes, you have your sights set large. I'd
Well,
just,
like,
I'd be local.
no, there's no one local that I give a shit about that I would want to put effort into
No,
cursing, hexing. Fuck
hexing.
off! Watch out, the CEO of yet another pharmaceutical company is gonna get taken out.
Oh
That's
yeah.
the
How
time
very
coming.
yeah, timely. I was gonna say how recent, how current events of you.
Oh. Um,
So there's a powers, and like it's like when you're growing up, especially, all you want to do is be part of a group that gets you,
that's such a
and
great point. The
and
covenant
like
element.
oh yeah,
If you get,
I wasn't even thinking about covenant. I was just like you want to do whatever just to sort of, if you're not part of that group, you want to do whatever it takes to
yeah,
show that you're special for some reason.
yeah, of course.
But yeah,
That's
covens, you've got a
That'd be
group.
amazing.
Yeah.
I would love that. I would love that. Everyone got into it at some point. Oh, another one. I've got a big list here of some really good ones, but another
List
one
of
that kind
witches? Are you talking about?
yeah. But
Okay.
one that kind of followed on from, I'm thinking about like that teenage time. I
Mhm.
really hope you've watched this one because I don't even know if you're a gay man. If you haven't, did you watch The Craft?
Of course.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
God. Because that was
Like,
perfectly timed to be like a teenager and like these weirdo
Yeah.
outcast girls get fucking superpowers
Yeah.
and they use them. Like, I would absolutely use them for revenge,
Absolutely.
making myself hot, giving myself powers and all that kind of stuff.
I couldn't tell you what happens
love-
in it nowadays, though, but I'm sure I've seen it.
They 3 spooky witchy girls and another one moves to town who has a bad wig, but whatever.
Yeah.
And because she's actually she's a natural witch, they do some witchcrafty stuff together and play around with stuff, and they each have their own kind of things that they want to get from it. So the black girl wants to get revenge on the racist bitch who keeps calling her horrible things, and so she puts a hex on her, and then she loses all her hair, which is brilliant.
Yeah. Perfect. That's what I would
Bonnie, whatever. Nev Campbell wants her burn scars taken away, and then they magically disappear. So she wears short skirts and she's hot again. Amazing.
do. Perfect.
Feruza Balk wants. She goes evil, but she wants power. So first she gives her stepdad a heart attack, and they get loads of money, and then she like invokes a spirit and becomes super powerful.
Yeah.
And then the other one takes them all out. It's just such a perfect angsty teen film of the whole finding a group of friends and then falling apart and superpowers and really bad CGI. It's brilliant.
And there's been other shows like that too, where there's like a group of friends who suddenly get powers, and then they tear the group apart from the inside. Who was the fourth person? For some reason I'm thinking it was Brittany Murphy, but that's not true, is it?
No, it's Robin Tunney. Robin
Tunney. Yeah.
Who
I
was,
remember
I
the
think,
name.
bald because she was in Empire Records and she shaved her head for Empire Records, and then she had to wear a wig.
I forgot about that one. Yeah,
I loved Empire Records.
I watched that a number of times. Yeah,
a lot.
No witches though.
No witches, just Renee Zellweger.
Just Renee Zellweger. Okay.
So the Craft was fucking great, and I would love to rewatch that. If you, dear listener, would like us to do a watch along rewatching of The Craft, on our Patreon, you can visit patreon.com/gaygeeks and tell us what to do.
Yeah, we will do whatever.
We'll do whatever we'll watch along, whatever you want. We'll talk through it, or we'll shut up, whatever you want. I think
it helps us out. And it helps us out, which is the point.
Which is the whole point.
Tell us what to do, yeah. Anyway, so is that the time that that was when Buffy came out with Willow being just the witch?
It would have been, I mean, it would have been kind of at the start of Buffy, quite early on. So
because when I eventually did see all of Buffy, which wasn't until I was in college, like I was just coming out really and coming to terms with my own sexuality, and it was like the
Wait,
friend
you're
that I was
gay?
watching it with. Yeah, did I not mention that to you yet? Welcome to the podcast.
Gross. Wow.
But it was my friends had already seen it, and they were like, that's really cool. That's the witch.
Oh.
She's this, he's this, da. It's really cool. And I was like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. And I was surprised at myself for not having seen it before.
Can I say a controversial hot take?
About Willow the Witch and Tara the Witch.
She's probably like the witch I like the least. Willow. She doesn't.
In terms of being witchy, or
yeah,
what was it? What was it that wasn't quite witchy?
I never vibed with Willow. She was never my favorite character.
No, I suppose
she was pretty low on the list. I think because I started watching it from the start, and she was always for 3 seasons that.
She was very mousy
wallflower thing, which is normally I like that kind of evolution when it's a mild-mannered girl discovers her power and becomes badass. But I feel like her whole arc, when she gets her power, she's always apologizing for it. When she goes dark, and then when she's recovering from dark, or when she's in dark, all that kind of stuff. She's not very empowering. There's a really brief moment, like just before Buffy dies and just after she dies, where it's that sweet spot of like, oh, she's really strong and it's really useful and she works with the team really well, that sort of stuff. But all before, she's this bumbling, fumbling oaf. And then afterwards, everyone's like, you're doing too much magic. You have to stop. Oh, now you're evil because you're doing too much magic. It just doesn't... She's not this hot, cool, empowered witch character like all these others
I see what you mean. She's not quite as sassy as the other witches.
No sass. Very little sass from Willow Rosenberg.
I think a lot of LGBT people like her just because she came out as well. And the fact that she had powers. I think it was alright. Maybe witch wasn't the best word for her, really. But like she's definitely
she learned her power.
She's probably more of a wizard than really. She studied it.
Yeah. I'm not saying she was a bad character. I'm just saying of all the witches that we're talking about, I think she's weirdly the one that resonated with me least. Like she's the least fabulous of pretty much everyone in that show.
Yeah, she's not super like sassy diva witch.
No, sassy diva bitch boots the house down mama is much more what I'm looking for in my witches.
But when she becomes like the evil, what people call Dark Willow, like the evil witch, and she's super powerful. Like, she does get a bit sassy at that point as well. Did that change your opinion of her?
I mean,
it only lasted for like 2-3 episodes.
I enjoy the storyline because it's magic. I love magic. I love powers, all that sort of stuff. I like the trope because they even reference it in it. Is it Jonathan or Andrew says like, oh, she's gone all Dark Phoenix. So, you know.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's a very familiar kind of feeling. I was like, ooh, just like Phoenix, that sort of stuff. And I did like it, and I think her recovery and all that sort of stuff. I think it was really good. But out of all witches, I'm like, meh. She's not on my doesn't tick my box.
My hot take is maybe witch isn't the best word for her. Maybe I think she's more of a wizard. She becomes a dark wizard.
So what's the difference?
She learned her magic.
And a witch doesn't? A witch learns the craft. It's witchcraft. You have to be taught it. You're taught it by your coven, by your sisters, by your mother, that sort of stuff. And it's, like you were saying, kind of earthy, so it's connected to
I guess you did
elements or natural things. But you do have to learn it. Whereas hers feels more incantations. If
there's any RPG people listening and you want to help us out with the difference between a wizard and a witch, and what role would she be? Interesting.
Which witch is which?
Let us know. Find us on TikTok or Instagram at Incomplete Geeks. Or email us.
Another one. Well, this.
So yeah, okay. That's Buffy then.
That's Buffy. I've got an older one, which is definitely a witch. Which is definitely a witch.
That's my list.
But very different. Bedknobs and broomsticks.
I'm pretty sure I was quite young when I saw that. And I don't.
I mean, it came out in 1971, so it came out before
I was not
either of us were born. So you could have watched it whenever.
I think it probably was on at some point. I don't remember.
It's on all the time. It must be on all.
My childhood.
Oh God, this is going to be a hard work episode. Shall I do all the lifting then again? Okay.
Tell me What do you mean again? Tell me about Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I don't. That's one I can't contribute.
Bedknobs and Broomsticks is kind of around the same time as Mary Poppins. They were kind of back to back, and I know the studio got grief for Mary Poppins because she was too witchy as well. Because people didn't like that. Because the Christians did not like Mary Poppins. They're like, oh, she's a witch,
Burn her at the
she's
stake.
a devil. But yeah, very much like that. It's like, geez, really? In the 60s, we haven't come this far. So Bedknobs and Broomsticks came out in 1971. Angela Lansbury, already gay. We're already there because it's a musical starring Angela Lansbury as a witch. Done.
We love it.
It's set during World War II, and she learns witchcraft to help in the war efforts. And it's a musical and camp, and they go to an animated island, very much like Mary Poppins does, the island of Naboombu, which is brilliant. And
can't say that nowadays.
I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. She learns spells like how to animate inanimate objects, so like shoes come to life and kick the Nazis off. It's great. It's just so 70s camp. But she's a witch in it. She has magical powers that she learns from a book. Huh?
Okay. Is she called a witch in the film? Okay.
Have you ever heard of a rich witch? Love it. It's so camp. I'm gonna watch it at Christmas. Yay! Sorry.
Okay. I think I might have to add it to my list because if I have seen it, I definitely don't remember any of that you just described.
Great to put on like Boxing Day or Christmas Day when you're shit-faced drunk and put it on because you'll be like, this is silly, fun. Like she turns people into bunny rabbits because she can't get toads right. All that kind of
stuff. She can't get toes right.
Toads. She doesn't turn you into a toad. She turns you into a bunny rabbit. She's like, I can't get it right. It's so cute. It's so
right. Okay.
Okay. So she's definitely a witch, but she's just a English white woman and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, if you want to compare it with Mary Poppins, because I literally spent a good part of my life thinking that Bedknobs and Broomsticks was a Mary Poppins film. Did I mention this to you? But like, I was like, oh wait, it's not, is it? Like, are people just upset? People, i.e., Christians, are they just upset because women are powerful?
Yeah, well, pretty much, of course, because they're telling you to do. She gets her power from things that aren't from God, so it must be the devil. I feel like that's the connection they always kind of make.
She's doing something that men aren't able to do, and therefore she's not allowed.
Yeah, well, she's the most powerful person there.
She didn't ask for permission from a man, so it's unholy.
So I love Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I never would have thought of her as a witch, but I do love the powers. So
yep,
it's a great one.
Are we going forward in time?
Do you want some newer ones? Because I've got like The Sword and the Stone. Did you ever watch that? Mad Madam
yes. Oh my god, that was one of my favorites. And Mad Madam Mim is my absolute
Madam
favorite.
Mim is
that
fucking
scene,
brilliant.
That scene between the jewel scene, I would watch that over and over and over. I don't know what it was. It was something how they just transformed into animals that just one-upped each other. It was so captivating and so thrilling when I'm a child. It's like, oh no, what are they gonna do next? Oh yeah, that's a good retort. No, and she's on this now. Oh no, what now? And then it just goes back and forth. And that whole film is like, I will watch it end to end when I was a kid, but that specific scene is great. And that character is really, really popular as well, if only because like she's considered the villain of that show. And even though she's in like one or two sines, you know the board game Villainous, where they have there's a
I was terrible at it, but yes.
Yeah. Because like you have all these big villains, like you can play as Ursula or Jafar or whatever. And then you've got, in one of the expansions, so later down the line, plays Madam Mim. Like she's very memorable for a lot of kids, I'm assuming.
She's the scene is such a peak 60s Disney, isn't it? Like the way that they animating animals is such a lovely innocent 60s Disney energy. But I love the fact that she is bonkers, cruel, mean, ugly. She fucking loves it. So there's never self-doubt.
Yeah,
she's like, I'm badass. Here's the rules. I'm going to break them immediately. And it's just such chaotic energy. It's so much fun and such a very antithesis of witch and wizard kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even though their power set is identical. It's just
I think there's the same, yeah.
I loved her. I was never scared of her as far as like witch characters in cartoons.
I don't think I remember was kid.
She never scared me. Maleficent would have scared me. Even Ursula at some point probably would have scared me a little bit, although I was a bit older by then.
When she
Mad
becomes
Madam Mim,
massive at the end of
never.
the film, yeah.
She was always fucking awesome. So I think honorable mention. She's taking no
Good.
shit.
Good example.
No shit.
But then at the end of the day, like, if you could choose to be either Merlin or Mad Madam Mim, who are you gonna be?
Like, although I do want a grumpy owl like Archimedes.
Yes,
that'd be
Archimedes. Great. I do like his many books, but that was about it.
And the fact that he can make his stuff clean up after itself, that was really cool.
I do,
but I feel like she could do that as well. She just doesn't want to. She
doesn't want to.
Chaos.
She's just got
she
her
just
own
lives
power.
in the chaos. She fucking loves that kind of shit. Did you ever see like Witches of Eastwick? Before
I
my
have.
time?
I haven't seen that one, but I do.
So we'll skip over that one because I don't have that.
Cool.
Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. Did you ever watch that as a kid?
No. You mean the live action one with Tilda Swinton?
Well, that's the recent one, but there was a cartoon.
Oh, right.
Well,
in that case, no.
I think it was English as a kid, the cartoon, so that probably wouldn't have made it to you guys. It was
Never
a
saw
70s thing.
Yeah. Plus, it was like super Christian, wasn't it?
Oh,
isn't it like
crazy Christian? The cartoon version of her was fucking terrifying. Again, a witch was very much, although beautiful, cool, powerful, fucking terrifying. So very much kind of trying to, I guess, Christianity. We're back to Christianity.
Yeah, of course. And she seduces one of the kids, and so like that's basically a big plot point. Is one of the boys succumbing to the evil charms and then having to redeem himself.
She was offering him Turkish delight because apparently, during the war they didn't have sweets and sugar and that sort of stuff, so the kids reading it would have lost their fucking minds because oh my god, they would have loved it. I was like, oh, that's cute. We've talked about Ursula a little bit. Again,
we mentioned her, but she's the Sea Witch. She's called the Sea Witch.
The Sea Witch learned her power. I don't know if these classifications really hold up. I think that's we'll just have to accept.
Again, it's just
women with power.
It's just classical women with supernatural powers. I think that because she I don't know if it's mentioned in the Disney cartoon, but she mentions how like in the live action one, how she's got the history with King Triton and how they were like best buds for a while.
Oh, I thought she was.
I don't know if they're related. I could be wrong. I'm not a complete geek or anything, but like, you know how like we talked in the origin stories episode about how a lot of these characters get their own sort of solo film to make them we're not really that bad. Ursula doesn't get one.
She's got a book, doesn't she?
What do you mean?
There's a series of what's it called?
Because if it was like it's not obviously not in public domain at all, but like if people are writing, it's not like Wicked was a book, just to bring it back to Wicked for a second.
Yeah.
Like, that was a book because obviously it was written so long ago, it's now in public domain. So you can write a backstory about Elphaba. That's also an attempt to make that evil character redeemable.
Oh my god, yeah.
So how is that different than like all the Maleficent origin stories or the other villains that the Cruella, like we see them a bit more depth. Why does Wicked work and like Cruella doesn't? I wonder. Is it because of what they were able to do with Wicked? Like, it was a book and then it was a musical, and the musical was what made it big.
Yes, I mean, one thing, the songs.
Yeah.
But second of all, like the original film that we all know, The Wicked Witch of the West from. Yes, it was a book and that sort of stuff. It's so old. When you look back at it now, what did she do that was so bad? Like, there's a lot of holes in that kind of thing.
Right.
It's like, you literally killed her sister and stole her family heirloom, and suddenly she's the bad guy? It doesn't really hold weight because it's a 1940s, 50s film. So it's easy to kind of like pull that apart, maybe. Okay. Whereas, even though they're not, it's a few years, Maleficent was a cool bitch. I don't know. I'm vamping here.
No,
She wasn't invited to a party and therefore was pissed off.
She's not the prettiest in the land, therefore she's angry at the one who
That's
is.
a different one.
But that's
not
I get mixed up all the time. That's Snow White. But also Snow White is from a fairy tale where there was very clearly just good versus evil.
Yeah. I know, but it made sense that she was written as an evil character, and you understand that she was slighted and she was, disrespected in royal circles, and so she was like, "Fuck you all, fuck your shitty baby," that kind of stuff. So she's written as evil.
Yeah.
Better? I don't know. I'm just vamping here. Ursula does get her book is called Poor Unfortunate Soul. So there's a series of books of all the Disney villains, and it's their backstory. But I don't know if it's trying to make them more heroic seeming, or if it's
is it like a Disney supported book, expansion book, or is it just someone trying to capitalize?
Well, there's a whole series of them, but I don't know.
Okay.
If they're
but if we look at let's go back to Ursula then, because if you she is again just a female with powers that is trying to get what she wants, and she's been spurned. She's obviously she's sassy, she's fucking based on a drag queen.
She sure is.
So and great. Yeah.
But she's evil. She's not misunderstood. She's manipulating a situation, taking advantage of a stupid 16-year-old girl who's horny to get what she fucking wants, to get power and dominion. It's like, good.
And legs.
As a kid, you're like, scary, evil, you're a bad guy. Ariel's pretty. As bitter, gnarled 40-year-olds, I'm like,
yeah, come on. Like,
fucking go,
girl. And also because a lot when you're a kid, you're basing a lot of that on just dark colors, scary face, angry voice. That's not what we base our judgment on as adults.
Did you know B. Arthur was supposed to be the voice for her?
I did not.
Because she couldn't get out of filming commitments with the Golden Girls, they used
B. Arthur.
She would have been great. Like, can you imagine B. Arthur singing Poor Unfortunate Soul? That would have been fucking amazing. But Carol. I don't know, whoever did the voice. She was fantastic.
I don't remember.
She did a great job.
Any other Disney ones you got on your list?
Disney. I mean, there's loads of Disney ones, but I want to do some newer ones. Oh, did you ever watch Practical Magic?
That was on my list. I actually haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot about it because I think it's another sort of. It was a quiz question. When I did a round about witches.
Oh, you should be leading this.
Not that I think about it. The story did a round about witches. It was meant to be like
John will be hosting a quiz on witches on our next TikTok live. If you would like that, message us on TikTok at Incomplete Geeks, and we'll do a TikTok live quiz based on witches, and he'll reuse his questions. That'll be fun.
It will be. I'll reuse those 5 questions, but have to make some more.
That's fine. Just like 10 or 12.
Anyway, Practical Magic was one of the questions, and so I had to read about it a little bit. So basically, like, there's sisters, and one of them's recently divorced or broken up or something like that, and he died,
widowed. Yeah,
and then there's a ghost that she's tracked by the ghost or whatever.
That's a different thing. Yes. So
okay, tell me about it then. Tell me.
So the Owen sister story starts with one of their ancestors who, in Salem-y times, fell in love with a married man, and they were going to hang her as a witch. She survives because she actually had magical powers, and she placed a curse on herself that she would never fall in love with a man again, or something like that. So the curse is passed down to each generation that no Owen's woman would know true love, and it's a curse that when they do fall in love, that man dies. So Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman, their father died because of the curse, and then the mum died of a broken heart, and they go and live with their aunts, Stockard Channing and Diane Wiest, and because they're always born in pairs, like a redhead and a brunette. So it's daughters.
Is that part of the curse? That was my question. I have a question.
No, the redhead isn't part of the curse, but they are always born in pairs, which is so fucking cute.
What about lesbians? What if one was a lesbian?
Well, then it doesn't affect her because women are better, and witchcraft is heavily queer. So
is it now?
They should all be lesbians.
It would make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Basically, you're punishing straight women for not
Well,
falling in
not
love with a
really,
man.
punishing the men. The straight women are fine.
True.
It's the men that
Yeah.
die.
I suppose.
Bye.
How soon though?
She got 2 kids and quite a lot of time out of it, so
Once you get 2 kids, then gone.
I don't know. Well, yeah, so it carries on the line so that she can have 2 daughters, a redhead and a brunette. The redhead was played by...
The redhead was Sandra Bullock. No, redhead was
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole
but
Kidman.
Sandra Bullock's daughters, the redhead, was
Oh.
played by...
I don't know.
Oh, God. Did you see Westworld?
Yes. Evan Rachel Wood?
Evan Rachel Wood was the daughter in it.
There you go.
So I knew it was like a three-word man name.
3-barrel name, yeah.
So now that they're doing a reboot, Evan Rachel Wood can just be the grown-up one.
Are they doing a reboot of Practical Magic?
Yeah, well, a sequel, yeah.
Wow. So I heard that the film itself wasn't amazing, but it's like got
a
following.
It's not. I don't think it did particularly well. It's just so 90s.
Yeah,
and
it was very 90s.
Cottagecore, high-waisted jeans, quaint little magic stuff. It's just so tra-la-la Sandra Bullock film with some magic and some girl
Nicole
power.
Kidman.
It's perfectly 90s. So the sequel won't work unless it kind of replicates whatever the modern version of that is. But yes, it was so sweet and lovely and empowering.
Is the curse lifted at the end of the film?
So yes, it's Nicole Kidman. Spoiler? Do you mind?
You can spoil it. It's fine. Spoil it.
So Nicole Kidman falls in love, hooks up with a bad guy, the guy from ER, and they accidentally kill him. His spirit comes back to haunt them, and the only way and then possesses her, so they need to exorcise it. So they get all the women in the community. It's like, guess what? You were right. We're witches, because they've been like calling them witches the whole life. It's like, yep, you were right. We need your help. And so they all show up, and they all cook together, and they use the brooms, and they bond, and they hold hands, and they exorcise the demon, the spirit together. And they're like, we believe that the holding of the hands and the bonding of the women is what finally broke the curse, because they're like, it started because she was being persecuted for being a witch, and now the family's being celebrated because they were witches. So
that's cute.
It defies the need for me curse. So cute, so 90s cute. Great wigs. They had brilliant wigs. They got drunk. Stoker Channing was in it. It's just so gay and lovely. The men could be hotter. The 3 men in it were not hot enough, but that's also very 90s, I suppose.
That's okay. About time we focused on the women for
generic
a 90s film.
Good. Could have been, yeah.
I'll add that to my list as well of films to watch over Christmas.
It's a very fall kind of one. Like it's more of a September.
Is that the one where she talks to her kid and she's like, I do promise never to wear shoes ever, unless I absolutely need to?
No. Wear shoes?
Yeah, it's like she makes her as a promise with her children. It's like makes a little pact. It's like, I promise to do this, promise never to fall out, and I promise never to wear shoes.
Well, that's a line, but she doesn't say shoes. It's like, and I promise not to do magic.
No,
that makes a lot more sense, though. You would think, right? Film about witches.
Yeah.
Oh, did I have another one? Well, okay. Well.
Yes.
Fucking Charmed, bitches.
On my list as well. Waiting for that.
Charmed, bitches. Which is also a screw up of the classification, because they have powers they're born with, and they learn
from a book,
the craft. Yeah, so it's both. But they are supposed to be the most powerful. So maybe some in this world, like most witches, maybe just learn the craft, whereas these have superpowers built in, plus all the other stuff.
Yeah,
maybe.
So you're the Charmed expert, though, so you have to tell me: are they born with it, or is there a certain age where they're like, okay, I have discovered that I have powers now?
No, they are born with it, and we will get into this because we actually need to talk about this afterwards.
We will make
a proper Charmed episode. Yeah. We'll be talking about it for ages, and it's because it's one of my favorite shows, and I do need to do a proper one. No, they are in this world. They are, for this particular family, the Halliwell family, they are born with their powers. However, their backstory, they started out without powers, and they quickly fixed it to say that when they were kids, their powers were bound by their grandmother so that they didn't get attacked by a particular warlock to steal their powers.
Also, you can't trust children with powers.
Well, because then in the later series, when they have children, they decide, should we bind them or not? They're like, no, we'll just leave them with their powers. And they're like even more powerful. It's like, so shenanigans ensue when the baby makes a dragon in downtown San Francisco. You know, that kind of shit.
Don't let children with powers, especially babies.
Don't let your children bind your kids' powers until, release them when they're like a respectable age. Teach them the craft. Anyway, so Charmed is just
and of course we love it because
gay iconicness.
So I'm going to ask you a question then. Compare it to Willow.
Yeah.
They don't seem super sassy either, or are they sassy? They are the diva. Are they actually?
They are so sassy.
Right, okay.
They are. Well, there's 3 of them at any given time. And like the middle sister is oh God, what are we going to do at the start? Because
that's what I remember from the
But you've got Shannon fucking Doherty.
Yeah.
Being a badass telekinetic
Rest in peace.
corporate R.I.P. Shannon. Corporate bitch queen.
Yeah.
Witch queen. And then you've also got Alyssa Milano, who is the flaky youngest, does whatever she wants, does no shit, looks hot all the time kind of stuff.
Okay.
Massive sass. And then the middle one being when later on she gets very sassy as well.
Okay.
There is always questioning about this stuff, but it's never, they never,
okay, so they're very, and they don't shy away from using their powers to get what they want, or are they still like learning their powers in a way? Because I don't actually know. Yeah.
They start having to learn their powers because they're not taught by their mum, because the mum dies when they were kids, when they're not taught by their grandmother because she doesn't unbind, and that sort of stuff. We'll get into it another time. So they have to learn it themselves, but they are super powerful. They're naturally that sort of stuff. But it's just more about Demon of the Week, like very season 1 Buffy. It's just like,
yep. Who do we fight this time?
Attacks you through shadows. Oh, that kind of cool shit. It's great.
Let's go back to the book and see how to beat this one.
That's like exactly. That's what it is. Let's go to the Book of Shadows. What does it say in the Book of Shadows? It's great. The power sets and the mythology are wildly inconsistent, but it was network television, so it doesn't fucking matter.
No,
there wasn't.
This is before we had streaming services as well, so you could, if you missed one, it doesn't matter. You have to just watch.
It doesn't matter. You just saw them whenever. And unlike Buffy, which had a 1, maybe 2 person writer director for the entire run who had a Bible and knew what they were doing, which was quite special. I do go hop on about Buffy, but that is quite special. They obviously didn't have that in Charmed, so it's like,
let's just make a nice
Gremlins
a
this
fun
week.
show.
Gremlins, sure, let's do it, and we discover up, that kind of shit. But very sassy, especially that's why I'm a massive Prue fan. The eldest, Shannon Doherty. That's why, because she was badass, strong, uncompromising, and just fucking cool.
Cool. I mean, I was going to add it to my list as well, but that's going to take too long.
Well, we'll have to, after we've done a proper Charmed episode, again, we'll add a rewatch of like key episodes and things to the Patreon if people are interested. There are very obvious best episodes.
Yeah, well, like a poll maybe or something. What's the best episode?
Yeah.
For me, who's never properly watched it, and you to rewatch it, me to react, basically. That's a good idea.
Yeah. That'd be fun. I'd like to do that with quite a lot of shows. There was another one I wanted to mention because I think we talk about it. We talk about the show pretty much every time we do it.
X-Men. Just kidding.
No. Oh God, no.
I haven't
talked about any of the witches in X-Men. No, I'm going to talk about True Blood.
Oh God.
About season 4 and how that was the best one because the witch season was the best. The witch season was the best one. Come on.
I just thought they were really ineffective antagonists. There's like the 1 or 2 episodes where they finally find like the coven or whatever, and they finally find the shop where they just sort of like it just dragged on. The couple episodes where like we can't get in because they put up a
shield.
That
did drag on.
Like,
I think that's part of the problem of True Blood in general. It was 26 episodes and it should have been 12.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fair. I do also like Jesus being a male witch, a brujo, and that's like he's got the sort of like it's in his blood. This also they tried to pull in this Latin influence as well, and I was like, yeah, I dig it. It's different because it was different. I just feel like the witches in that witch shop or whatever it was. I'm just like
they were ineffective, but they still got hits in, and I liked it because they were this ramshack group of middle-aged women going up against these gorgeous, sexy, 1,000-year-old rich white vampire people, and it wasn't easy. And they weren't just showing up cool and that sort of things. Like they fucking right, this ghost is teaching it and that. We're trying to figure that sort of stuff, and they were stuck in a shop, and they still took them out and still made Pam's face fall off and all that kind of stuff. But mainly, I just loved the lead witch, and I've forgotten her name. Fiona.
Fiona Shaw. Fiona Shaw.
Yeah,
she's so good.
I love her, and she was so wonderful in it.
I do remember her.
That's just really why I like it. Again,
I forgot she was in it.
Cool
Thank
character.
you for that. She's great.
Great.
I've seen her on stage as well. She's fantastic.
Really? What in?
It was a number of years ago. She was in Happy Days, a Sammy Beckett play, where it's with the woman who's like buried up to her waist, and she just starts talking, talking about nothing. Anyway, she's like buried up to her waist for the first act, and she's got like a few sort of props around her. She's just talking, and like her husband kind of meanders in the background, has like one or two lines, whatever. And then the second act is like half as long, and she's buried up to her head, so it's right up to her neck, and it's just her head. And she's like just still sort of chit-chatting away, pontificating, or just saying stuff. It was brilliant. I forget where was it? The National?
That sounds bonkers and brilliant.
But she was really good. That was like, at least 10 years ago.
She was also in Fleabag, and
was she?
And she was in Villanelle. What was that?
Killing Eve.
Yes.
Okay.
She was the main one in that. I love her.
Anyway, that was a tangent, but she's very good.
Yeah, it's why we love them. Brilliant, strong women.
I feel like
similar kind of energy.
Has she not played a witch at some point as well? She'd be a fantastic witch.
You mean apart from the True Blood episode that we were just talking about, her being a witch?
That's right. Yes, apart from that, clearly. Not that.
I don't know, actually, but probably.
Comics. Are there witches in the traditional sense?
Well, I feel like in Dungeons and Dragons and like RPGs, comic books are where you would see the distinction between. So, like Ileana's a sorceress, that calls herself a demon sorceress.
Okay.
Whereas Scarlet Witch is now officially, finally, an actual witch. I don't know what there's no difference in.
What does that mean?
Learn their powers and
then you have characters like, I mean, it's I don't know how much the MCU is following the comic books, but they obviously call Doctor Strange as the Sorcerer Supreme, even though it's not.
Well, they even made a thing about that, didn't they? They made a thing that like, oh, it's not sorcery, it's witchcraft in the second one. I'm like, what the fuck is the difference? Yeah,
it's chaos magic innate, or you learn it because Stephen Strange learned it. Like that's very clearly a case of studying to get the power, and he's the best in the world apparently. But then also, is it Infinity War, when Tony Stark says to Spider-Man, he shows up and he's like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, they've shown up. They want to steal a rock or a gem from a wizard. And then Stephen Strange gets taken away, and he's like, get him. That's the wizard, and he goes off, and that's so he's very clearly a wizard. And isn't there like a thing as well?
No, he's a sorcerer.
Either it's wizards or robots or aliens. That's what the Earthlings have determined the threats are going to be. Wizards, robots, or androids. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Wizards, robots, or aliens.
All of the witches listed on Marvel.com.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, apart from the only one that I would say is only a witch and not a sorceress, perhaps, is Agatha.
Okay.
Because her whole aesthetic and her whole background is very witch focused.
Yeah, and like she was created to be like witchcraft. Witch. Yeah, Salem witch. So like,
however, she.
Oh no, we have this otherworldly. We've got this otherworldly threat happening. It's bound. Reed Richards, what should we do? And she's like, give me 10 candles. I'll handle
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I'll invoke the Gargamash sort of stuff. Scarlet Witch is, I don't know how you would define her powers as being different from someone like Ilyana, who was always self-identifying as a sorceress because she learned from a demon sorcerer. She's called herself a demon sorceress.
Okay.
But it's the same
I don't know.
thing.
I don't know, because then we get into the thing. Obviously, she's so like, what is Ilyana's mutant powers compared to what she's learned as a sorceress? He asks rhetorically. Is it just the teleport? Is that her mutant powers? Just teleportation?
Mutant power. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Because then back in the day when Wanda was a mutant, I think she still is.
Well, I just finished reading a What If book where they go through it all and they're like, oh no, she's definitely not a mutant. Like, I'm just gonna skip this bit because you will have to retcon her to be a mutant soon because it's driving all of us crazy. You gotta make her Magneto's daughter again and a mutant again and pretend this didn't happen. Like, because it makes sense. So like for ages they had her powers were mutant probability powers.
Yeah.
And then she's learning witchcraft from Agatha, and they were separate things. In the 90s, they came up with the idea that, I think I've told you this before, but I just love it, that her powers would have been like her dad's, that she's an energy manipulator, like Magneto.
That was the plan.
That is in there, like, that's what your mutant powers would have been. But because at birth, it was long established, she was connected to Chthon.
Yeah, okay.
Chaos magic is inherently linked to her. So her mutant power is to manipulate chaos magic. I'm like, perfect. But she's a mutant.
Wasn't Pietro
but her mutant
also,
power is to use them. What?
Well, sorry. Wasn't Pietro also raised by that as well? Or was it not the same?
It didn't connect with him. Well, because his power is speed. Like, it's not like it didn't magically connect. That's a workaround that makes sense. Like, you want to keep her magic-y, but she's also a mutant. And that worked perfect.
Oh, I see.
And then
yeah.
And then they made her a reality warper, and then not a mutant. I was like, guys, it works so well to just be like that.
I really think that the reason they changed it was because of adding her to the MCU.
Yeah,
and they were just trying to copy the MCU as much to sort of capitalize on that the success. I'm just like, why?
Stupid.
Why?
Stupid. And why didn't they immediately get rid of it anyway? They will.
I don't know. Nope. Go see our other episodes where we talk about. We do a drunk rant about Scarlet Witch's background. We kind of did that.
I mean, that's basically what
Retcons was,
just bitching about that. Magali Shardos, Amanda Sefton, they've all been. Doom is just his mum. They've all been called witches, but they've all just been called sorceresses. So,
but Doom is called Doom is a sorcerer. He's called a sorcerer too.
Yeah,
isn't he?
And then his mum is a sorceress. Morgan Le Fay.
Is she only in like Arthurian times as well? She's not in modern.
She's still around, but she's from then. That sort of stuff. She's a big Spider-Woman villain.
Yeah,
weirdly. Weird choice. So, no, they have not in any way defined a difference between it. The only ones on this list are now obviously on here because of Agatha. You've got Lilia, Alice, and Jennifer as well.
Jennifer Kale.
That they would all be... Like, she's talking to Belasco. Like, she's clearly... Jennifer Kale, long-time sorceress. You know, like, she's just called herself a sorceress rather than a witch. So there's no difference.
No, I don't think that... Yeah, I guess... So what are they doing in the MCU? They're kind of making the magic is different. Like you've got and they're using colors as still, to denote different types of magic between like the Earth magic and Chaos Red and Chaos Purple and Billy's Blue, etc., etc.
The only thing I can think of is using of kind of more human tools to be witchcraft. So like the runes and everything like that, and saying spells and elements and that sort of thing, and putting hexes on people and situations. And
charms, for example.
Keeps it a little bit more human-y focused rather than space magic, like and his cloak and all these kinds of things.
Did you just cast a spell at me?
Like it keeps it smaller and witchy and coven-y to be doing this rather than here is the magical cloak of levitation from Earth. You know, this kind of grandiose sorcerer stuff. The kind of like, oh no, I've just chipped out this rune stone on and put it on a thing, and that sort of stuff. That's the only thing I can think that might be different, but it'd be cool if they did a series about it.
I think I agree. I got nothing to add to you.
Loki was raised by witches. He's a witch rather than a sorcerer.
Yes, I would agree. The kind of magic that he does isn't really like cosmic-y.
Yeah,
he just does sort of like illusion magic. It's like illusion
tricks and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
If you, dear listener, can come up with a definitive difference between a witch and a sorceress
and a wizard
and all these in different medias and how you would do it, is it just man, woman, that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
We can write to us.
Yes, please do.
geekspodcast@gmail.com and tell us all about it, and we will read it out on the show that you listen to.
We read every email, and we we love hearing from you. We love expanding our geekiness. If you want to get in touch,
please do. It's the whole point of the show.
It is
the whole point of the show.
You can also get in touch on Instagram or on TikTok. Our handles there are @IncompleteGeeks. Give us a like while you're there. Give this episode a 5-star review. It
do it now.
It helps us out. If you want to help us even more, we do also have a Patreon now, because as you know, we don't read ads. We never will. We never want to. If you chuck us like $1 per month, even that helps us out. But we have all sorts of fun stuff on there, like polls, written content. We're still getting it up and running, but we've got a lot coming. So have a look at patreon.com/gaygeeks and help us out there if you can. We'd love it.
Thank you so much. I apologize. We've gone through a lot of stuff here, a lot of old stuff that John didn't know anything about.
Yep.
Yay. A lot of different things. I've been reading off lists, so hopefully I didn't get too much wrong. But you know what? We're not complete geeks.
But we are working on it.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Did you know that the person who originated shush friends?
We're talking about start that question. So, hang on, just dropped my fucking ear.
What the fuck is going on with you? You are a car crash tonight.
I don't know. I'm not even rushing. I'm just actually just sort of.
What are you looking for?
My ear thing fell out.
Oh, for God's sake! It rolled
around the ground.
And I'm sure
found it by the way.
Oh, thank fucking God. Oh, the show is saved. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. Okay.